Absol has officially entered the chat. He's in it. He is here. Listen, this may not be a part of the battle. This might not be necessarily an entry into the ring, but it is something. Absol did drop some bars now. As many of you, if not all of you watching this, are aware of, the craziest week in hip hop happened last week, maybe since the year prior at the same time. There's something in the water when it comes to May. May must be, I don't know if it's Taurus/Gemini season or if rappers just really like to rap in May. But it seems the last 2 Mays, we've had mayhem. And yes, that was a pun intended. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop. But I can't promise that I will stop because I'll probably have more puns later. But listen, speaking of double entendres, okay, Absol has entered the chat. Now, Joey Badass, I declared him the winner of the battle last week. I think Daylight conceded, even though I loved everything that Daylight did. I loved everything that Ray Vaughn did, but I think, even Ray Vaughn didn't reply to that last Joey track, and I think that Ray stepped back a little bit when it comes to this battle. But everyone won. Daylight won in the sense that so many more people got to hear his bars. I think he's one of the top tier lyricists ever to touch a pen. Ray Vaughn had so many more people aware of him, his talent, and going to listen to his project, which is phenomenal, by the way. The Good, the Bad, the Dollar Menu is out now. You can check that out if you haven't heard it. My favorite song off of that is Towards the Bottom. I think it's called Heaven is a Mile Away. Who else won? Kai Cash won. Reason won. There's a lot of people that won. A lot of people were rapping, okay? We had people who you might not have ever heard of rapping, and we had some of the bigger names in hip-hop even coming out and rapping. Even YG threw a little bit of a shot last week, okay? Today, I'm sure people have dropped bars as I speak. There's people tagging me in new songs that I didn't even know of, okay? There's side missions in this battle. Shout out to Ben Riley, okay? Ben Riley dropped a song, and there was a side mission, okay? I was talking to Ruben Vincent about it earlier. There's all these side missions going on. Him and Reason were going back and forth, and they both dropped dope songs. Yeah, there it is. Ben Riley and Suave dropped a Reason diss. Reason dropped a reply, okay? It's incredible, all the side missions. I also do feel like I omitted Coyote when I was going through a rundown of all the people that dropped. Coyote dropped some heat when things first started towards Joey. Of course, I got to shout out always Mick Jenkins. If you watched the last Bigger Picture episode, you know the inside joke there, but shout out to Mick Jenkins. My guy Dime a Dozen was a part of it. He was dropping bars. Curtis King even had some bars for CJ Fly, who also had some bars. This whole last 2 weeks has been absolute madness, okay? It's been absolute madness. But if you guys watch the Bigger Picture, you know that the last couple of weeks, I have been heavily promoting Absol as the true boogeyman. I said Absol is the person who you do not want to battle with in the ring when it comes to lyrical sparring. I said that every rapper who is top tier has a little bit of fear when it comes to Absol. And there's actually a clip on the Bigger Picture that went semi-viral. It had almost 200,000 views on Instagram, on Twitter. I think it had around the same. And there was a lot of conversation sparked from that. A lot of notable people in the comments agreeing with us when me and Head were basically saying that Absol is the real boogeyman. And Elliot asked why. Head basically said he is not Kendrick. He is not Dot. He's not the type of guy who's going to take it easy on you. He's going to give you 6 minutes worth of bars. You're going to have to dissect them forever. I said it might be 30 years. You might be with grandchildren figuring out what Absol really meant by some of the bars that he had for you in a diss track if you want it with soul. So I said nobody really does. Nobody really wants it. And that clip was actually sampled in this song, okay? But there's a lot more bars. There's a lot more to dissect when it comes to this. Some people are calling it a warning shot. Some people are calling it None of that. Some people say it has nothing to do with the battle and nothing to do with Joey. Others are calling it more of a reflection. I think that there is many layers to this song. I don't even want to say what it is right now until we listen to the whole thing, and then I'll give you my analysis. But without further ado, let's get into Ab-Soul's Untitled reaction. It's just called ... as of right now. ... Interesting. I didn't even until I said it out loud. ... Whose nickname is... Now, it could just be period, but that's not as fun. Okay? But let's keep it going. Let's start this song off.
I go crazy when I can't find you.
Hey, man, niggas got the whole game fucked up. Only hit low for the bop, so hit low for the chop cheese on the roll. Tell I chop.
Now, Low, I believe his name is Low the Great. Low the Great is a producer who's actually produced a whole bunch of these songs. He's been heavily involved in some of these, battle songs, but he's also an incredibly well-respected producer in LA. And here we have Ab-Soul just called me and told me price went up. This is after the song dropped. So Ab-Soul said, hit low. What did he actually say?
When I can't find you.
Hey, man, niggas got the whole game fucked up. Only hit low for the bop, so hit low for the chop cheese on the roll.
He said, soul hit low for the chopped cheese. Of course, chopped cheese, shout out to Justin Hunt, who said that chopped cheese is having a moment right now, which was referenced by many rappers in this back and forth the last week.
Hotel, I chop. Circa 2011 in White Dolo in the studio, breaking bread with Shites, getting his opinion on LTN, then some little niggas on.
So this is Soul reflecting on some of his early days. Soul is basically talking about when 2011, when the blog era was in full effect. At that point, Kendrick had probably just dropped. So 2011, Kendrick had just dropped Section 80, most likely around this time. Soul references High Power later on this song, which is Kendrick's, motto. Kendrick's, it wasn't even a collective, it was a movement towards, higher learning and knowing yourself. And it was actually a super powerful movement. I was thinking about it earlier today, which is super crazy. It got referenced. And I was actually thinking the one question I would ask Kendrick if I ever saw him in passing, or if it was a red carpet or an interview setting, would be, what does high power mean to him today? I'd be very curious, because I think it was a super powerful movement. If you remember high power, let me know in the comments, but everybody put 3 fingers in the air. And then when it comes to Ab-Soul in 2011, April 5th, 2011, he dropped Long-Term Mentality. So he's talking about, getting that mixtape in order. And he mentioned Johnny Shipes, who is a record exec, and notably he discovered Nipsey, Joey Badass, Big Crit, Smoke DZA, and more. So if he's in the studio with Johnny Shipes, he is likely talking a little bit about Joey Badass at this time, because if we look at Joey Badass, in October 2010, Joey Badass uploaded a video of himself freestyling to YouTube. The video was reposted onto World Star Hip Hop and caught the attention of Johnny Shipes, the president of Cinematic Music Group, who soon after became his manager. And a year later would be when 1999 released. So this is Joey before he's really popped onto the scene, but clearly making a name for himself and clearly impressing the right people within the industry to start building his team, start building his backing in order to really make a run that he was about to be on, but also building his collective, Pro Era.
Skateboard slid in quiet as mice. 2011 in White Dolo in the studio, breaking bread with Shites, getting his opinion on LTN, then some little niggas on skateboard slid in quiet as mice. Sooner than later, I would find out they were being attentive, i.e., great minds think alike.
So clearly this is Pro Era walking in the studio at that time. He's saying, he thought that they were just shy and quiet at first. Probably similar to how people thought of Kendrick at the time. Kendrick was always mild-mannered, quiet, even in interviews. He wasn't super talkative. I always thought that him and Joey had very similar demeanor in interviews early on, where they were very soft-spoken, very profound, didn't say a whole lot, but said a lot with their music. And so he was saying great minds think alike. Pro Era and CDE are both two collectives who clearly took the art form seriously. And when they were in the presence of other MCs, they were watching, they were taking notes, they were really attentive to what was going on.
Silence is a private. Probably why all these niggas talking. It was all a blur, blowing big down with my own. Great minds think alike. Silence is a private. Probably why all these niggas talking. It was all a blur, blowing big down with my own. Word of mother. They would lead the era of the pros. Yeah, I brought the high tower to the East Coast.
Ooh. Pro Era reference, high power reference.
My own word of mother. They would lead the era of the pros. Yeah, I brought the high tower to the East Coast. That's a double entendre. I ain't got time to explain. ACBC.
Brought the high power to the East Coast. He said he doesn't have time to explain the double entendre. The double entendre, what I referenced earlier with Kendrick's high power, 3 fingers in the air, but also, of course, Power and Joey Badass's acting career, which was, clearly taken to another level on 50 Cent's Power, or Raising Kanan from the Power universe.
Man, how the turnpike stepping up, flying steezy. Plus a little badass name ringing bells on the internet. Remember them?
So he was talking about, meeting Capital Steez, but a little badass on the internet. His name is ringing bells. So Joey was clearly making noise at that time as well.
Kids on skateboards, polying with them like you never met. My team frying in the split, hitting like a cigarette. Me and Doe fell in love, and the backwoods then became irrelevant. Come to find out, Steve.
Rest in peace to Doe Burger, who's on here, whose soul has said he took the form of on his last album. He took Doe Burger's spirit was with him, and clearly left a lasting impact on not only his career but clearly the conversations he was having and they were having with Steez and Pro Era and Joey Badass at the time. By the way, the caption on here, it says, "It's just a few chains. Don't let that go over your head." And here we have the Smokers Club chain. So the fact that the Smokers Club chain is on this picture is interesting because in 2013, the Smokers Club tour was Ab-Soul, Joey Badass, Pro Era, and the Underachievers. Ab-Soul, Joey Badass, Pro Era, and the Underachievers. So it was Beast Coast, the Beast Coast movement, and the West Coast. Ab-Soul on that tour together. Clearly, Doe Burger was there. This is showing TDE, that's Pro Era. I believe that PE is probably Pro Era. The Smokers Club together. This is unity. These chains are showcasing unity between everyone. The cover art is specifically here to show that there is no bad blood in this quote-unquote battle. This is all rap. We were on tour together. We were in the studio together. This is so clearly reflecting on how far everyone's come in their own journey.
Was the leader of the whole.
And that's important. That's important because I think a lot of people take things out of context. And people were thinking, like, where could this go? But this is context to this song. This is basically saying, no matter what, I might want to compete. I might think I'm the best rapper alive. I'm the boat. But it's respectful at the end of the day. It's all about rap. We've done it before. We're all students of the game. And so don't let that go over your head as well. I think that's part of why he put this.
Shit. Which we could have was then became irrelevant. Come to find out, Steez was the leader of the whole shit. Which we could have busted down more before he transitioned. Fast forward, 4-7 on.
So, rest in peace to Capital Steez. He's basically saying, the fact that Capital Steez was the leader of the whole movement, he, came up with the 47, which Soul has tatted on him. He had a lot of the mindset and the ideas, when it came to Pro Era. he was definitely a high level thinker when it comes to the world and God and the universe and history and all these ideas. Steez was definitely on that. And Soul, if you listen to his music at all, you know, he's deep into all of that stuff. So I think that that's probably where they connected heavily. And I know that Soul probably took some of his messaging and continued to elevate it and take it further. And Joey took the movement that they created and continued to elevate it and take it further. So
Me permanently, meaning if you fucking with them, then you fucking with TDE.
And even that bar is showcasing the unity between Pro Era and TDE. He's basically saying this is all family. All of this is family. And that includes Joey and Capital Steez. If you're fucking with them, you're fucking with TDE.
Competitive game. Niggas better be in shape. Catch you a friendly fate, then keep it that way.
And then the next bar, he really says, it's a competitive game, but you got to be in shape, meaning the pen's got to be sharp. He's saying, I keep my pen sharp. I'm rapping with the best of them. He's in the cypher. You can catch a friendly fade, but let's keep it at that. He was basically saying this on the cypher. He's saying, this is rap. That's why I love that so much. That's why I love that so much on the cypher when he basically said, we're keeping it rap. This is just about us all sparring. Joey was joking about shooting the West Coast, and Soul was like, hey, watch it. And Joey's like, I was just shooting in the air, and you guys caught it. And he's like, shooters shoot. It was all friendly. Now, there were moments in this back and forth battle last week that I thought things were going too far. I won't even bring attention to them, but I thought things were going too far. Certain individuals who were rapping seemed to be taking it there. And I don't like that it got there. I actually didn't cover any of that. I didn't even mention those songs specifically because I thought, I believe this person, and I don't think it needs to go there at all. I ended it at Daylight. When Daylight brought it home with the Capital Steez tribute, I thought that was the end of this whole battle, okay? Just because there's a couple things afterwards that were too close. And I think this is Soul giving kind of the warning to everybody, like, let's keep it rap. We said we could do this. I told you I was in the middle, the mediator of this whole thing. I was telling you it's just going to be rap. Let's keep it rap, okay?
TD East was a motherfucking stretch, real shit.
TD East was a stretch. When Joey Badass posted TD East, he said they should make him the president of TD East or whatever the bar was. I think Rob Markman had tweeted, that he wanted to be on the staff at TD East. The TD East meme I thought was dope. It reminded me of, when Drake had asked for an invoice for an extra $20,000 during the Pusha T battle, although that didn't end as well for him as it did for Joey in that case. But when Joey did that, I liked him playing a little bit into the internet. I thought it was dope. I thought it was like, we're taking this, it's fun. I filed a trademark for TD East. I get Soul saying it was a little bit of a stretch. Maybe that after that, there were some TDE people that were a little bit upset. I get it. But, that's referencing all of the memes and the shenanigans and everything going on beyond the rap that was still fun that had to do with the battle.
Told niggas he was back in the gym, not just reading no script.
I told people he was back in the gym, not reading no script. I think this is a double entendre. I think, A, back in the gym, not reading no script, as in, like, Joey was prepared for whatever. He was in the gym working on his pen, and this wasn't scripted in the sense that, like, this wasn't all planned out to the point where everyone knew exactly what Joey was going to do. Now, people knew he was going to shoot. People knew the Cypher verse was coming. Daylight and Rayvon appear to have had the heads up that the Cypher verse was coming, but they didn't know exactly what he was planning. And Absol, I think, was telling them, like, yo, he's ready for whatever. Like, he might have told them, yo, there's this verse, this is what happened, this is what's going to happen. But he's like, yo, he's prepared the way we talked about it. Seems like he's ready for whatever. He's not focused on acting right now. Don't push me when I'm in album mode. Joey Badass was in album mode. He was ready to bar up whoever, okay? And so I was like, listen, he's not acting right now. He was ready for it.
Quill was insensitive mentioning that bridge.
Quill is Daylight's nickname, and the bridge bar was towards Ab-Soul. Initially, I actually did think, so I thought it was Capital Steez at first. There's a bar that Daylight said that kind of had everyone thinking that maybe he took it too far, where he mentioned Capital Steez, he didn't mention Capital Steez. He had posted a picture of Capital Steez the day before, and then took it down in classic Daylight tweet and delete fashion, and people were like, oh, that's going too far. And even I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't go there because it doesn't need to be personal. This could be a friendly fade. This could be an on-record battle. Who's the best MC? And I thought that was maybe taking it a little too far. And then pair that with the fact that on the next song, Daylight dropped, he had a bar where he talked about, if people only knew what Beep knew, then they would have jumped off a bridge too. Now, Capital Steez didn't jump off a bridge. He ended his life tragically in another way. But Ab Soul has talked about his struggle with mental health and suicide and suicidal thoughts. And he had jumped off of a bridge in attempt. And by the grace of God, he survived in a miracle. But that bar was about Soul, and Daylight later clarified, that was about Ab Soul, not about Capital Steez. Now, even that is still an insensitive bar no matter what, because you're bringing Ab Soul, who's already clearly stated he's a friend of both sides here. He's friends with Joey. He was friends with Steez, rest in peace. He's friends with Daylight. He's clearly affiliated with TDE. So he's in the middle. Ray Vaughn's his little homie. Like, these are all people that associate themselves with Ab Soul. He's basically saying even that was an insensitive bar, and he's admitting this. I think Soul is kind of showing his non-biasness here as the mediator of this battle, and kind of giving you his recap as what Justin Hunt said was him being the official.
I wasn't there when he was speaking at my intervention. Quill was insensitive mentioning that bridge. I wasn't there when he was speaking at my intervention.
So this bar's interesting. I don't know specifically any details about this, but it seems like he's referencing saying, yes, that was an insensitive bar, but the reason Daylight gets a pass to say those things is because he was actually at my intervention. He was actually there giving a speech when I needed him. I do believe that was probably towards Daylight. If it's not, it might be about somebody else. You guys can let me know in the comments if you have more info on that. But this appears to me to be more of like here's why Daylight gets the pass. Yes, it was too far. It was a little insensitive, but it's okay because we have a real relationship, which is different than just some rap shit.
Von Wick might have referenced Puff a little too much, but Cub wanted all the motherfucking smoke, hence why he was so blunt.
He wanted all the smoke, hence why he was so blunt. Smoke, blunt. I love that bar. I thought that was super slick. Also, agree with Ab Soul here. I said on the bigger picture that Ray Vaughn made a few mistakes, going after Joey's hits and his accolades when he doesn't have the accolades himself to back it up. And then Joey actually does have platinum records, and he wrote Rockstar for Post Malone, or at least did the melody for it. And I posted the video of my interview with him on Twitter where he talked about that back in 2021. And that's a diamond song. So Joey has hits and plaques. Devastated is a hit. Love is just a feeling to me is a hit. It has 500 million streams on Spotify. Even his old mixtape has that many streams. Like, we can't talk about Joey's numbers. I didn't like that. And I also didn't like him focusing so much on the Diddy angle. I thought it was a cool bar, and it'd been referenced by a couple people. Even Ray Vaughn in an interview with XXL said, like, it's hard when you're battling and all these other people are jumping in and they're using angles that you were thinking of using. But anyways, I did think it was a little much. I still thought GoldenEye was super dope, and I thought Ray held his own in this battle and did his thing. But I agree with Soul, and I think Soul, again, is kind of being objective here and just saying, like, we can call it like it is on some of these points. Even me being TDE, I thought that was a little much, but Ray did his thing. And Von Wick, I love Von Wick. That's dope.
But Cub wanted all the motherfucking smoke, hence why he was so blunt. I don't know you other niggas, I ain't never knocking no hustle. I'm just saying you might want to tap in before you end up in some trouble.
He's also basically saying, listen, this was a battle between Daylight and Ray Vaughn and Joey Badass. Those were the people involved as of the time of the cypher. Cool if you want to get some clout. Cool if you want to get some shine. Cool if you want to insert yourself. Reason was inserted. Pause. Reason's name was inserted into the battle after Joey called him out on the finals. He threw a sub, and so I think that's up to Reason to respond. But there was a lot of people that just jumped in. And again, that's fine. Do what you do. Some people ended up on top and winning with it. I think Kai Cash was a great example of somebody who took that moment, brought the East on his back, threw some punches, threw some jabs, kept it fun, kept it rap, and had a super dope song that's still, I think, growing and his presence is still continuing to grow. And AZ Chike, I actually did really like his response. I really did like his song. I think it got muddled once Joey kind of dismissed it with that one bar, and I think that's all he really needed. Again, just because some of these people weren't necessarily involved in the battle and were jumping in, which is fine. But like Absol says here, if you're jumping in, you got to be okay with the consequences, which, you could get smoked on the track, or Soul is basically saying, be careful because things could get real and we don't want things to get real. Check in if you are jumping into this battle. Make sure you know what you're getting involved in. And I think he's warning here, like, let's keep it rap. Let's keep it rap. Let's always keep it rap.
Thought you knew he was the mafia? Big dogs on top of ya?
Ooh, that beat switch is crazy. I will say I didn't love this beat choice at the beginning, just because Soul, in the similar way to Daylight, to me, he's so talented with his pen and his double entendres and his metaphors and his words and his craftsmanship with his words. I'd rather just hear his words properly if that's what I'm ready to focus on. And I think there was a bit muddled, like the distortion, or just there was a lot going on that beat that I think similar to Daylight. I just didn't love the choice of it on this specific part. Now that second half I loved, because I think we really get to see Soul's flow, which I don't think is on Showcase as much as his lyricism, but I do think is as good as his lyricism when he wants it to be. Soul knows what he's doing when he does all those pauses and breaks and choppiness in the lyrics, but he really starts to flow in the second half.
Pause on that. I put the pause on all y'all, and I got locked y'all. Might wanna.
What did he say, pause?
Thought you knew he was the mafia? Big dogs on top of ya?
The big dog's on top of you. Because Top Dog, you saying, listen, pause. Okay, all right, keep it going.
Pause on that. I put the pause on all y'all, and I got locked y'all. Might wanna fall on back.
And I put the pause on all y'all, continuing the dog reference. And I got lockjaw. Might want to pause on that, as in things could get spooky if you keep going. You don't want this dog to attack.
All y'all whack. Niggas call they self tryna defend that. Hee hee. When gang know this, defend that. On all y'all, and I got locked y'all. Might wanna fall on back. All y'all whack. Niggas call they self tryna defend that. Hee hee.
He said people are trying to call on themselves to defend Kendrick, as in they would be the ones to do the job. And he kind of laughs at that. And in the next bar, this is just a setup.
When gang know this, straight dancing around stadium sold out. It's best y'all back up, cause quite frankly, if he actually needed backup, y'all know he just bring soul out.
So I love this because basically what he's saying is, and this was the convo we had on the Bigger Picture, where Ellie was basically saying, like, in order to get to Kendrick, you kind of have to go through one more level, and that's Soul. Soul is kind of the real defender lyrically before you get to the Kendrick level. And Soul is basically saying Kendrick's not worried about this. He's dancing on tour in stadiums, sold out. But everybody who thinks that they're needing to defend Kendrick, just know he's good, A. And B, if he really needed someone to call on him to defend, I got it. Okay, that would be me.
The blog saying the coasting lost. That's a bad look. The homie literally just popped out and set the stage for y'all. What the fuck?
Also, I think this is in reference to some of the media taking things out of context and making this a West versus East battle. Again, we had this big conversation on the Bigger Picture about it. You can watch. I'll link in the description. But Head and Elliot kind of heavily disagreed on whether this was a Joey versus the West Coast, or, West Coast versus East Coast, or just Joey battling and other people stepping in. Now, I will say, understandable how people took it when Joey did have the line about the West Coast. It's understandable that West Coast rappers were the ones, shooting back on record and making songs, and who are the ones who were defending their honor from that bar and showcasing their skills. But it also really was just kind of Joey versus Daylight and Joey versus Rayvon. All of this other stuff was kind of side quests, in my opinion. And so I think that Soul is basically saying there is no losing as the West. The West already just won. We did the pop out. We unified. I saw it. I was there. It was crazy. It was unification at its finest. It was a moment for the entire city, for the entire coast. So Soul is basically saying there is no losing. So we can talk about the battle. Let's focus on the battle and the actual bars. But in terms of losing, I think he's saying the West Coast couldn't lose from this because did you see what just happened? And Dot's on tour circling the globe with his win right now.
I got love for the Beast Coast, bro. We the best one. What's up? Quit bumping your gun. Get back in the booth. Stop playing with us.
He's saying if you want to talk though, get back in the booth. Come on. We could keep rapping.
Got me feeling like Ice Cube sitting in a glass half pool. But I'm straight out of Carson. Bring in the arson. Little nigga, watch your attitude. Bo Boyega, the Bottega and Chuck Taylors. Might make Dre drop Detox and reunite Black Hippie. Don't tempt me.
What a threat. What a threat. You might make Dre drop Detox and make me reunite Black Hippie. Again, maybe there's a reunion. Maybe there's a reunion already happening. I can't even speak. I got so excited I couldn't even speak. Maybe there's a reunion of Black Hippie happening on this Bodies /Tiramisu /GNX trailer song. Or maybe I'm just making it up because I don't have any info, but I just am kind of willing that into existence and hoping for that. Hopefully, okay? Hoping we get more deets surrounding that, okay? But I don't know. All I'm saying when it comes to Black Hippie is threatening to bring the whole gang back together, the whole group, the most lyrically vicious, the most charisma, all of those guys on the track. You don't want that. And as great as any group could be, that is one that is dangerous to go up against lyrically. So,
man,
But I go crazy when I can't find
So Soul's the boogeyman. Nobody want to do that.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Hold up. Sorry.
So Soul's the boogeyman. Nobody want to do that with Soul.
He's
Why?
different.
Why? I mean, I know he's dope, but why? Like nobody want to do that with Soul. So
Is that me? Was that us? Was that the bigger picture? Did the bigger picture just make an Ab Soul song? Let's run it back. Let's run it back one time.
So Soul's the boogeyman. Nobody want to do that with Soul.
He's
Why?
different.
Why? I mean, I know he's dope, but why? Like nobody want to do that with Soul. Soul not Dot. It ain't gonna be no bops. It ain't gonna be nothing.
You'll get
What I was finishing to say there before it got beeped was you'll get bars and you'll be 30 years down the road with your grandchildren and you'll be like, oh, that is what Ab-Soul said. Holy shit, that's what Ab-Soul rapped about in the diss towards me 30 years ago. That's what the finish of that sentence was. And the beginning of the conversation was basically us saying that Elliot asked if Soul was the new boogeyman because I said that no rapper alive wants it with Ab-Soul when it comes to the pen. And Head is basically saying he's not Dot, okay? He's going to give you something like this, 5 minutes, okay? You got to dissect the whole thing. And I think this is still even light when it comes to Soul. And we saw him take it completely easy in that cypher and just act as mediator. But shout out to Ab-Soul putting the bigger picture in the song. And this is my first voice sample in a song that I know of. I've had my name referenced a few times in songs, but this is the first vocal sample. The first vocal sample that I've had. So I'm excited. I don't care what anybody says. I'm just enjoying this moment. This is what you dream about as a kid, to just impact moments like this. So I'm still enjoying it. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Hey, yo, Ray, don't worry about nothing. We gonna get these bands, though. I see it. I see you. Hey, man. Give me.
He said, Ray, I got us. Even a little Ray Bands flip. I know Ray did that on one of the songs too, but he's like, let me take it from here.
I see it. I see you. Hey, man. Give me my pride. Give me my.
This whole sounds
Give me
pissed
my
off,
pride. Everything don't happen for a reason. Your bitch in soul DM. I'm more seasoned. Yeah, I'm more appeasing. I need me a Grammy just so I can peas in. Somebody.
I need me a Grammy just so I can peas in. I think that that's a Ye reference when he was pissing on his Grammy and he put it in the toilet. You remember that? That's the most shine I'll give him. But I do think that was a reference. I also think he was actually upset when it came to the Grammy nominations. I do think Soul was feeling a way that his album wasn't necessarily received the way that he would have hoped. I think that he really felt confident in this body of work. It was one of my favorite albums of the year. I had Crazier as my verse, I think second verse of the year, behind Like That 2 years ago, in terms of just my favorite in terms of performance and lyricism. And I told him when I interviewed him for Soundcheck, I told him that verse was no pun intended, one of the craziest verses I've heard in a long time. But I think Soul wanted more credit. I think he did want the validation of like he put the time in. He worked with Head even on making a slap. He had palatable music. He had the lyricism. He had concept. You know, it was for Doe Burger, rest in peace. And I don't think that the album performed the way he wanted to, both commercially and in terms of just within the hip hop media space and just within the fans, and just I don't think he felt like it got the praise it deserved. So I think this is him kind of like, give me my props, just give me my props. And so that's the energy it seems like we're hearing.
Get moves on the line. I'm still taking Joey, my little home.
I wonder what he said there.
Just so I can peas in. Somebody get moves on the line. I'm still taking Joey, my little homie. Hold on, enter the void. If you knew, clear the room for I seek and destroy.
Joey, my little homie, don't enter the void. Be careful before I seek and destroy.
Joey, my little homie. Hold on, enter the void. If you knew, clear the room for I seek and destroy.
What does he say? If you knew, clear the void. That's crazy. Those bars are crazy. I do think that this is all fun. Like, I think he's literally just being like, this is like him either going into his Doe Burger bag or going into a different persona for this end, where he's basically just like embodying somebody that he's not necessarily usually rapping as. And I think that could be Doe Burger. I don't know much about him and what his demeanor was like, but I know that he said for the album he was, you know, embodying Doe Burger. So maybe this is him stepping in as Doe Burger, who's on the cover here, or whose Instagram pictures on the cover here, or maybe he's just, it is a different Soul. But I think like even the slapping bar and a couple bars from here, and the give me my props and the come on Joey, don't, like, this isn't necessarily even Soul speaking from his own perspective. I think this is a different persona that Soul is embodying.
Bang bang bang! I'm so corrupted I wanna call out names. But that'll be a waste of my time, cause don't nobody want it with A.
I keep saying it, don't nobody want it with A.
B, don't forget the dash. Unless you make the meta math, $ OUL you can fucking have. Compliments of the company, car son, across my belly. I prove I won already, bar none. Don't cross the 91 without a pass. You gon' need.
He said, I prove I won already, bar none, which is funny because he's like, I won without stepping in the field yet.
Credentials and premium gas, and I'ma slap academics when I see them.
Also, I kind of love that he just, you know what? He had something to say. He had something to say, and whether it's him or his persona, he's like, let me just throw it in there. And we saw exactly how that guy responded, okay? We saw exactly how he responded, exactly how you would expect him to respond. I'm not going to even mention too much about his response because it was just exactly the type of bullshit that you would expect, okay? So we'll just keep it pushing. But I like the energy from Soul.
Where you niggas from? Where you niggas at? Give me my props. Give me my props. Give me my props.
There you have it. Absol. ... Listen, like I said, I didn't love the first part of that beat choice, but I loved that second half. I thought that once he started flowing, to showcase his flow like that was super fire. But lyrically, I mean, like I always say, you can't really compete with Absol lyrically. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think Joey could spar. If he does want to compete, if this does turn into a fun competition, and he does want to do that, I do think Joey could spar, and I would not count him out. You won't hear me after what I witnessed last week, say that Joey Badass can't compete in the same league as Absol. I'm just saying, I don't think he wants to. I don't think anyone wants to right now. But we'll see. So I had tweeted something about this being, a warning shot and that Joey didn't want it with Soul. And Head tweeted one of these emojis. So I don't know exactly. I assume his next tweet was in response to people I wasn't the only person to say that. A lot of people were saying this feels like maybe we will get that competitive spirit between those two and keeping it rap. But, Head said that to clarify, this is just to clarify, this isn't back to it. Justin Hunt did say he had information that there's more songs coming though. So again, I don't know exactly what will happen next. You can let me know in the comments what you think. But I do think that this was Soul basically saying, listen, I'm always ready to rap. I'm always ready. I'm always here. The pen is always sharp, but it's all love. We are comrades. We are, peers. TDE and Pro Era go back a very long time. And this relationship, rest in peace to Capital Steez and rest in peace to Doughburger. This is much bigger than music. So I love this. Feel honored to even be a part of this and the bigger picture to be a part. And thank you guys for watching. If you are watching this still, you've watched the whole video, so I appreciate you. You might as well hit the like button, comment, and subscribe at this point if you haven't already. We're almost at 20,000 subs. My goal is 20,000 subscribers by my birthday. I don't know if it's possible. My birthday is in 2 weeks, but that was my goal for this year, so I'm really trying to get there. And if nobody else has told you yet today, I appreciate you. Peace.